Thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2. It's a great day to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Let's jump right in. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, they defeated the New York Jets 34-32. And let's start with the good, then we'll get to the bad. Aaron Rodgers was absolutely sensational. He was 22 of 30 for 244 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He was sacked 4 times. And let me make this clear right now. I do not want to hear that any of these sacks were Aaron Rodgers' fault for being old, not being able to move. If you tell me that or you say that, that means you didn't watch the football game. On the very first play, the pocket collapses. The Jets' interior lineman, I don't remember his last name. I don't really care. The nose guard, he is absolutely phenomenal. He totally collapses the pocket. Rodgers Jones the entire day was nothing but a liability. And what else would you expect? Would you expect Rodgers Jones to be able to block the guy? No, I didn't expect that at all. But the entire day, who couldn't do their job? Rodgers Jones. And I know it's a team sport, and you're going to say, well, Aaron Rodgers had a fantastic day, and he did have a fantastic day. But Rodgers Jones was a liability the entire time. There's just such a different feel to this team this year that even when things are going wrong, I know for me personally, I'm like, oh, we got this. Aaron Rodgers is going to come in and move the ball down the field. And that's exactly what he did the entire game. It's such a relief from last year what the Pittsburgh Steelers had at quarterback in Russell Wilson. I also loved Arthur Smith. He added all these new wrinkles to the offense, getting guys open, a lot of crossing routes, a lot of screens, a lot of short passes to help the run game. I thought Arthur Smith did a fantastic job of calling the game. One of the things that I didn't like about the Pittsburgh Steelers, what we did on offense today, I felt like we didn't take enough shots down the field with DK Metcalf. We used Calvin Austin III more or less for that. Maybe it was something that Aaron Rodgers was seeing on the field, but I feel that the Pittsburgh Steelers offense needs to get DK Metcalf in one-on-one coverage and take chances down the field for the big plays. We need to do a better job of getting DK Metcalf the ball downfield. You know, he caught a lot of crossing routes and slant patterns and stuff like that. You know, he had a good game. He had 4 receptions for 83 yards. His catch of the day was 33 yards on 7 targets. So I'm not bashing his play. I just feel that the Steelers need to do more to get him isolated and chuck that ball down the field. You know, we were absolutely horrible in the running game once again. Jaylen Warren, 11 carries, 37 yards, no touchdowns. Kenneth Gainwell, 7 carries, 19 yards. I mean, we cannot exist in the NFL like this. We cannot exist in the NFL not being able to run the football and to be able to stop the run. We'll get into the defense in a minute. I mean, from a rushing the ball standpoint and stopping the run, the Pittsburgh Steelers are in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. And if Coach Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers organization didn't sign Aaron Rodgers, and we went into this game with Russell Wilson, we could have lost this game like 55-0, literally. Aaron Rodgers put this team on his shoulders for the victory. I mean, listen, Chris Boswell is an absolute effing Terminator. The 60-yard field goal at the end of the game with an additional 8. He could have made 68, 70-yard field goal, no problem. We made the plays when we needed to make them. But we all know in the NFL to win a Super Bowl and to get deep into the playoffs, you got to run the football and you got to be able to stop the run. And the Pittsburgh Steelers today with that were totally horrible. I mean, it's as bad as it gets. F minus. It was a G. DK Metcalf, 4 receptions, 83 yards, 7 targets. Calvin Austin III, 4 receptions, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Long, 36 targets. Pat Freiermuth, 3 for 28, 3 targets. Ben Skowronek, you know, he made the most of his reps on offense. He scored a touchdown, 1 catch for 22 yards. Special teams, he was a demon. He really earned his roster spot, and it showed. Jono Smith, 5 receptions, 15 yards, 1 touchdown. I don't understand this Pittsburgh Steelers, what they're doing with Darnell Washington. You know, he's a super talented guy. He's 6'7", he's 6'8", he's 285 pounds. He barely got on the field today, and I think this is a mistake. We need to include big country Darnell Washington in the game plan. He is a mismatch for so many defenses just based on his size. You could just throw the ball up to him, and he's going to out alley-oop the average defensive back. I mean, Again, I liked what Arthur Smith did with this offense, but some of the personnel decisions, some of the matchups, obviously the running game is just horrible. DK Metcalf, we need to take shots down the field. Big plays with DK Metcalf. He's a totally different receiver than Calvin Austin III. Calvin Austin III is a smaller guy. DK Metcalf, he's a prototypical size receiver that you want. When you got to get him one-on-one. You got to throw that ball down the field to him. You got to let him do his thing. If the Steelers don't get the turnover on the punt return, who knows where this game goes? I mean, I don't like saying that because we made the play. It's not a mistake. It's not a fluke. But if you don't get the turnovers, then what? You got to have the big play ability in your offense. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. We were absolutely horrible against the run. I mean, the New York Jets totally destroyed us in the run game. Breece Hall, 19 carries, 107 yards. His longest rush of the day was 18 yards. Justin Fields, 12 carries, 48 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then we had Isaiah Davis, 2 carries, 18 yards, and Braylon Allen, 6 carries for 9 yards. A total of 39 rushes for 182 yards and 3 touchdowns. 182 yards. You remember the last playoff game, the Pittsburgh Steelers gave up 299 yards rushing the ball. And we go into this game, and our front 7 knows, the linebackers know, the defensive linemen know, that Breece Hall is the main attraction here, and we got to shut this down. And our defensive line and our linebackers were getting totally destroyed off the ball. And when you rewatch the highlights on this, or you watch the all-22 film, and you watch the play that they were doing, when you watch Justin Fields hand the ball off to Breece Hall, they weren't doing anything special. They were literally doing a Pop Warner fullback dive. Justin Fields would get the ball, and he would go just like this and hand it off to Breece Hall, and Breece Hall would run it straight up the middle. Straight up the middle. They were just destroying the Pittsburgh Steelers right up the middle. Cam Hayward was nowhere to be found. Keanu Benton was nowhere to be found. Peyton Wilson was getting pushed around. Patrick Queen was getting pushed around. Now, I know Patrick Queen, he made a play or two here. He almost had an interception. But our front 7, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the linebackers, the defensive line, were absolutely terrible today. And in the first half, I could not figure out why the Pittsburgh Steelers were leaving Garrett Wilson all alone with Darius Slay. Darius Slay was getting cooked by Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson had 7 receptions, 95 yards, and a touchdown on 9 targets. And then the second half, the Pittsburgh Steelers switched things up. You saw Jalen Ramsey more or less all over Garrett Wilson. You shouldn't wait to the second half to make that change. Going into this football game who the number 1 receiver is for the New York Jets. Stop with this ego. Take your best guy, Jalen Ramsey, and put it on the best receiver. I mean, this mentality, this matchup almost cost the Pittsburgh Steelers the game. Breece Hall, two receptions, 38 yards. Nobody else really did anything. See, Garrett Wilson, it was 2 guys. Breece Hall, 3 guys, it should say. Justin Fields, who had a fantastic day. Breece Hall, and Garrett Wilson. If you stop the run and you force the Jets to throw the ball, your best defensive back should be on Garrett Wilson the entire game, and that should be Jalen Ramsey covering him everywhere he goes. No matter where he goes, no matter where Garrett Wilson goes, that's where Jalen Ramsey should have lined up. I really don't understand Coach Tomlin sometimes with these philosophies. And another thing that I did not like about our defense besides the run, I mean, come on, was it's the same old stuff, man. It's the same old thing with just different players. Now, I know everybody's going to say you win with players and not the schemes, and that's true to a degree. But at the highest level, when you want to win a Super Bowl, you have great players with great scheme. Andy Reid, you see where I'm going. You need to put your players in the best positions available to make those plays. Our pressure on defense, it just comes from the same thing over and over and over again. TJ Watt today, he had 2 tackles for a loss. Let's see what his stats were. 5 total tackles, 3 solo, 2 tackles for a loss. I know he had a batted pass. I know he had a couple pressures. A few times he almost made the backside play. He was like 1 second late from hitting Breece Hall's foot to stop him for a loss. But hey, either you make the play or you don't. And he wasn't making it them. We only had 1 sack on the day with Alex Highsmith. I mean, it's just, we had 1 sack on the day with Alex Highsmith. This is not going to cut it. Justin Fields dropped back all day long. I mean, we paid this defense $145 million. Cam Hayward got a $3 million raise. He was horrible today. Cam Hayward was nowhere to be found. The defensive line was atrocious today. And I have another question for the Steelers. All preseason, you heard about Y.A. Black being so dominant. And fine, he might have been going against second stringers, whatever. But didn't we bring that big body in there to stop the run? Now, I know Keanu Benton's a big man. I'm not saying he's not a big guy. But Y.A. Black is 350 pounds. When somebody's running the ball down your throat, don't you think we should switch things up a little bit? Now, fine, he got some reps, but he didn't start the game off. I don't know. Our defense is, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is a total disaster. Now, the defensive backs, the secondary in the second half, they tightened up a bit. They started to clamp down. They played a lot better. But you cannot give up 182 yards rushing the ball and expect to win the NFL. Again, if we didn't have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, we do not win this football game. Aaron Rodgers put this team on his back, something that Russell Wilson can't do, and something that usually Justin Fields can't do. But Justin Fields played a hell of a football game for the New York Jets, and I'm not here to cover the New York Jets at all, by any stretch of imagination, but you have to tell the truth the way the man played. Quincy Williams had 6 total tackles, 4 solo, 1 sack, 2 for a loss. Quinnen Williams had 5 total tackles, 4 solo, 1 sack, 2 for a loss. Will McDonald had 2 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss. I mean, this Jets defensive line really put it on the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line. And I don't, the offensive line, Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line played well, but the one guy who didn't play well and he was just giving up sacks left and right was Broderick Jones. I can't wait to watch the All-22 film and see what really went on with Broderick Jones, but I'm telling you, it definitely isn't good. Chris Boswell today, he was 2 for 2 for field goals, long 60 yards, extra points 4 for 4. He scored 10 points for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's an absolute stud and a weapon. To hear that Chris Boswell is one of the lowest paid kickers in the NFL, that's just downright criminal. If anybody has a beef about money, it's definitely Chris Boswell. Hey, people will say a win's a win, and that's right, a win's a win. I'd rather win than lose. The Pittsburgh Steelers came out on top 34-32. Obviously, we all know we have a lot of work to do, but if the Pittsburgh Steelers cannot stop the run, if this keeps going the way that it's going, oh my God. With Derrick Henry in Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, we are in serious trouble if we can't put this thing back together. I am really concerned about the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. The defense now is being coached so poorly, and we are playing so poorly. This brings me back to the Chuck Noll days before Chuck Noll got hired, and the defense was just absolutely abysmal. And that's what you saw all day today. Just big gash running plays. Straight up the middle. Pop Warner stuff. No fancy plays, no misdirection. They just handed off to their guy and he either went straight up the middle or he went to the weak side and nobody's there in their gap and he just runs for 10 or 15 yards. Hey, we won. I'm going to end it on a positive note. Aaron Rodgers is that gunslinger. Aaron Rodgers kept us in this football game, and I'm so happy for Aaron Rodgers that he beat his old team after the way that Aaron Glenn and the New York Jets treated Aaron Rodgers. And I'm going to end it with that. Thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2.